every day. He's trying to take the fences away from the bottom. She's turned to me, she's lifted my hand now. Don't you think it's a crime? The way time after time runs by every day. He's trying to take the fences away from the bottom. She's turned to me, she's lifted my hand now. Don't you think it's a crime? The way time after time runs by every day. He's trying to take the fences away from the bottom. She's turned to me, she's lifted my hand now. Don't you think it's a crime?
Sing this song. Sing this song. Get your bottle of wine. Get your bottle of wine. Okay. Welcome to the reality show with Charles Butler. Hey, you know, we're kind of kicking it here today, waiting on a guest to join me. Young man that wants to talk about the Salvation Army and the great things that it's done and how they helped he and his family, which is always, great stories to hear during this time of the year. I think, during this time of the year is the only time that we really kind of focus on Salvation Army. The rest of the time, we're trying to get in and see what deals we can get, Comments on Jesse Jackson Project 21 cases in there. You were prepared just once the verdict came down. Yes. Okay, come on. Of course I can. Of course I can. Yep, I was on Newsmax talking about this, about Juicy. Yep. Yeah, the verdict's going to come down. They went to the jury today, the Smollett case. That's what people are talking about. It's one of the things that people are talking about. Juicy Smollett. I tell you, I love Juicy. He's a character. Character. So, wow. Let's see here. This young man, it's not going to work. Anyway, I'm trying to piece together a couple of things here. And the case has gone to, the Juicy Smollett case has gone to the jury. Well, it should go to the jury, and it should be ready to, we should be ready to talk about it. We should be ready to hold court. Juicy he lied. He's sitting there lying. Says he didn't want the crime solved. Right. Juicy Smollett. The real issue here was, and is, folks, with Juicy, is that Empire did something that only one other show had done until Empire came along, and that was every episode they got more viewers. I think the only other show to do that was MASH, one of those shows that stayed on a long time. I think it was MASH, though. I'm trying to get my that ain't working. My lights up. So yeah, MASH, that is the deal. And so when they introduced this homosexual bit, these two guys in love and tongue kissing, people tuned out. Black folks turned it off just as fast as they turned it on. I know I did. And I erased all the old episodes. That was season 2. So they got rid of all the hugging and kissing and, all the gay stuff for season 3, season 4, season 5, they come back. Juicy's in love with somebody. he gets engaged to somebody, and they end up having a big old kiss on TV. At that moment, at that moment, I went to my storage area on my television, destroyed all of the episodes of Empire, stopped the recordings of Empire. I never looked at another episode after that. So after Juicy kissed that boy in season 4, at the end of season 4, I was done with it. I was done with that whole homosexual thing. People can do what they want to do. Just don't put it in my face. I'm not interested. And for him to come out and talk about he's openly gay and he made out with this Nigerian, the Nigerian can't go home. Did you guys know that? The Nigerian can't go home because guess what? Homosexuality is a crime in Nigeria. Should be a crime here in America, but you have so many homosexuals and bisexuals in Congress, in state capitals, as president, like President Obama, that these people have taken over. They've infiltrated everything, schools, universities. They always want to talk about Marxism and socialism. They never talk about the gays, the queers. We got even a transgender in the cabinet. I remember we couldn't have a black in the cabinet. Now all of a sudden we got trans. The boy is mentally unstable. Big ass, ugly ass male dressed up like a man. He needs to blow his damn brains out is what he needs to do, or get some counseling. Now, see, if I say that, what do you call those people? The cancel culture people. Oh my God. I hate these young people. I hate them. They're worthless. And they know they're worthless. I hope the Chinese come and suppress them and make them slaves. That's what they deserve. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this young man, and we're going to have a little discussion here. Juicy Smollett, I tell you, that is going to be interesting. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I think that it will be, I think it'll be interesting. Oh, let's see here. Jennifer. So look, I've had my 2 cents on Juicy. That's about it. Oh man, that's too funny. That is too funny. So let's see here. Hey, Charles, not today. Look, sometime. What the heck? I don't know what is going on here. Okay. Jenny. Where is Jenny? Okay. Oh, man. She messed me up. Okay, 12 o'clock. Let's do this. Okay, cool. I don't know what happened. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this young man. And hello. Just a minute. Hello, how are you? Hello? Yeah, hello. I don't hear him. Maybe I'm mute. No, I'm good. My sound levels are up. I don't know what's going on out there, but it's always something. So maybe he'll come back. I don't know. So Joe Biden really blew it with Vladimir Putin. Nobody, and absolutely no one is giving him any kudos for meeting with Putin. I mean, Putin ran over him, talked to him like he's a little boy. That's what he thinks of Joe Biden. That's what he thought of Barack Obama. And he hated Barack Obama because, he thought Barack Obama was a little ACDC, and He was right. Oh, the culture police. They'll be all over me. Oh my God, he said. Yeah, I did. Without question. You know, I am looking for something that Jennifer sent me and I cannot find it. I am ask this guy to unmute. I'm asking them to unmute and see what happens. Yeah, but let's see. Anyway, um, you know, it's half a dozen of one, six of the other. And Barack Obama, Joe Biden bombed miserably. But that's what happens when when you don't have any moral compass. It's what happens when you don't uh, bring anything to the table except smile and a grin. And Barack Obama did that. That's all he did was smile and grinned. And it takes my friend Lou Wise back to talk about Barack Obama. And Lou was a major player in the Democratic Party at one time, and really got turned off after folks after folks after folks elected Barack Obama. Lord have mercy, Barack Obama. I tell you, if there's ever a guy that I couldn't stand, it was Barack Obama. Anyway, I'm just saying. Let's see. So, what else is going on out here? Anything good? Let's see. Let's go to look at. I looked at the Putin thing, and we know that. Hold on one second. Hello. Hello. Okay, that didn't work. Wonder why I'm getting these calls from Germany and whatnot. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to go up over here and see where the what's going on out here on some of the other news networks. Some of the things that they're calling. They say the prosecution gives jury 6 key points that says they destroyed Jesse Smollett's case. Wow, what are those 6 points? Are we gonna focus on Jesse today? Juicy's attorneys say lying about the mega hats in Obama country is dumb. Ooh, the defense attorneys actually said that. Oh my God. Defense attorney Naye Ucha, she's African, kicked off closing arguments in the Juicy Smollett trial on Wednesday. And she began by attempting to discredit the prosecutor's key witnesses, the Osandero brothers. They're from Nigeria. Ochi, they're probably from different tribes too, because she does not like these guys. She noted they are both highly intelligent, which he told the jury means that they have their guard up around them because they're capable of manipulation. Okay. He also seemed to imply that they were coached on what to say, giving curt answers from the witness stand and frequently responding to questions with, I don't recall. Okay. But Smollett's attorney said, wait a minute, lying about the Trump supporters in Obama cities wouldn't work. Smollett called the brothers' testimony that he paid them $3,500 to carry out this fake attack was 100% false. It's not true. He certainly paid him. Smollett exited the courthouse on Tuesday, arm in arm with family members, thanked reporters who were outside for being fair in their coverage. The brothers testified last week that the fake attack was Smollett's idea, and he gave them $100 to buy supplies, including rope and bleach to tie around his neck, and directed them to yell racial and gay slurs and mega. Wow. So, in effect, the defense attorney, Mr. Uche, noted that it wouldn't be an effective lie for these guys to, or for Juicy to lie about it. He said, is he dumb enough to go into Obama City and pretend there's Trump supporters running around with mega hats? Give me a break, said Uche. Well, that's what he said. He said it himself. Smollett said, yeah, that's what they said. They had mega hats. And said, hang on. Mega in reference to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again. Yeah, make America great again. You know what we need to do? Some people would say the same thing Hitler did. Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, that's what the right says, and some people far right. Oh God, even some moderates say here, hey, you know, we gotta get control of this situation. This has gone way too far in terms of boys and girls and boys, and 2 + 2 is 5, and you know what's right is wrong, what's wrong is right. It's crazy. So this defense attorney, Naye Unche, kicked off closing arguments with Juicy on trial, and he began by attempting to discredit the two brothers, of course. And he added that with a whole lot of alleged, what is alleged simply doesn't make sense, and the prosecution is contorting the story to fit its evidence and not the other way around. For example, Uche says, he alleges that saying Juicy instructed them to buy red hats, which he denies, came about simply because the brothers were seen buying red hats. He notes that the allegations that Juicy attempted to get the attack captured on surveillance screens, which don't have audio, makes it silly for him to also instruct the brothers to shout racist, homophobic things during the attack. Unche said that he wants the jury to remember that the Sandero brothers are highly intelligent criminals who knew enough not to take up a hoax attack, but were also capable of lying about one to cover up their real alleged crimes. So he's pointing the finger at the brothers who testified against Smollett, saying that they're the criminals. They committed the crime. Oh boy. This is too much. So the police spent over 3,000 hours investigating and clocked in by roughly 25, 26 officers. Now that that Webb is done with his investigation, the defense will get a chance to speak in support of Smollett before the trial is turned over to the jury for deliberation. And it's really interesting that Dan pointed out a couple of things. He pointed out that, let's see, Dan Webb, who's a special prosecutor here, he pointed out in recapping what he also ran the jury through at the trial, Smollett allegedly withheld evidence from the police, such as DNA evidence, medical records, and phone records. Webb believes that this is because he didn't want the crime to be solved. Smollett actively attempted to mislead the police by saying that his attackers were white or pale skinned, when the Sandero brothers are both dark skinned and from Nigeria. Wow. That's deep, man. That's deep. And he also said that Smollett faked evidence by seemingly adjusting the rope that his attackers allegedly put around his neck. to look tighter than when speaking with the police. Webb showed an image of the rope looking tighter in his interview with the police. And Smollett previously testified that he took the rope off and put it back on when he realized it was important evidence and he shouldn't have tampered with it. Who shows the intelligence here? The Uncedero brothers or Mr. Smollett? Smollett. The Sendero brothers could not possibly have known where Smollett was without him telling them of his location. Smollett said he was out at 2 a.m. To get that night to get eggs to keep up with the diet plan, and the store was closed. So he grabbed his Subway sandwich and walked home where he was attacked. I told you I live down in that area. It's not an area that you want to be in at 12 o'clock in the day, let alone 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock at night. A lot of bad people. And this was during a solar vortex. So it was cold. It was one of the coldest nights we'd had in years. And this guy claims he was attacked. Smollett never signed a criminal complaint against the brothers. Instead, what does it say here? What did he do? I don't know, because this page is split in half for some reason. Instead, he sent a text message after it came to light the brothers had been arrested, which he said he didn't believe they did anything wrong, and stood with them. Webb alleges that this was the actor's way of telling them he'd protect them. Wow. Well, the special prosecutor did what he had to do, and the closing arguments will begin. And Smollett will get off with a, little tap on the wrist. That's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to this guy. But his testimony stinks. He does too, But I'm glad that this whole homosexual thing comes to the forefront. We can quit talking about it, quit talking about homos. And that includes Pete, what is his name?
So what brings you here today?
Pete Buttigieg or whatever his name is. Mayor Pete. I can't stand him. And, these homos are acceptable, but blacks aren't. Law-abiding, clean blacks, educated blacks, but the gays are. Raunchy photos. Wow. Dante Wright. Wow. Texas dad's arrested after getting vocal at a school board meeting. That's crazy. Why would you arrest a guy for getting vocal at a school board meeting? Good question, huh? Can't make this stuff up, people. Can't make this stuff up now.
Good morning, everybody.
Somebody was stupid enough to come by and set fire to the fox tree. Listen to this.
Live from Studio M. It is Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Normally during the Christmas season, we start the program by showing an outside shot of our All-American Christmas tree on Fox Square. But last night, shortly after midnight, somebody climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. Right now, there is somebody who is in custody and is being interviewed by local police.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
Who sets a Christmas
Well,
tree
I mean,
on
it's
fire?
just part of the rampage.
Somebody
No
who-
city is safe.
Somebody who didn't like Fox. That's who set a tree on fire. It's not funny, but they caught the guy. That's the good thing. They caught the guy, and he's going to pay, and that's a better thing. I hope they prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. The Los Angeles prosecutor who's letting these criminals back out on the street, Mr. Gaston, the LA prosecutor rips him for the crime surge And he's a politician first, said he's a politician first. But we'll see. There's a recall out for Mr. Gaston because of his policies. And we'll see what happens. I know that if I were these people that are being harmed by Mr. Gaston's craziness, I don't think there's a rock that he could hide under. People are dying. Jacqueline Avant is dead because of his policies. There are people who need to be locked away. Sorry. It's bad. I remember yesterday they were showing criminals breaking into cars in San Francisco. They come up and look at a rental car, look in it, see the luggage in the back seat, knock the window out and get gone. Thanks, Kamala Harris. Thanks, Willie Brown. Thanks, what's his name? The guy who's, I think he's HHS now, the Hispanic guy from Chicago, Butler or something like that. Hey, these guys aren't worth the salt in their bread, man. So I want to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to share with you a lifelong New Yorker who's leaving and coming to Florida. So we'll be right back.
This is Dan Perkins, co-host of Black and White, and this message is for the 200 million of you who have taken the COVID-19 shots. If you haven't taken the shot, don't waste your time. I'll get to you later. We need boosters because the effectiveness of your original shot is deteriorating. The CDC tells us that you can get the Delta virus even with the original shot, and perhaps even with the third. You have to decide to get the third shot. It's your call. Think about this right now. While you're listening to this message, about 6% of Americans that have the vaccine are getting sick. You could be next. The CDC believes a low immune system may be the cause. So even if you get the third shot, you need to protect yourself and strengthen your immune system immediately. I have a great all-natural way to do this. Go to blacksandwhites.us website and click on the CV Acute bottle to have it on hand. If you wake up with flu symptoms, take CV Acute 3 times a day for 3 days and you're done. Don't wait until you get sick to buy this great tested product. It could be too late. Buy it now. Have it on standby. Go to blacksandwhites.us and buy it now. Arm yourself to fight off.
Okay. We're back, and I want to play this short clip for you.
This New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor, great friend of the show, Carol Markowitz, a lifetime New Yorker, is trading in the Big Apple for the Sunshine State. In a Fox News op-ed, Carol opens up about her decision to move her family, writing, quote, "I was a New York supremacist. So it's with some sadness and a lot of anger that I feel our family now needs to leave the city we've loved for so long. We're going to Florida, a state that's come to regard the beacon of freedom in this country." Carol joins us now. Carol, there's many reasons, but it's really about your kids.
Yeah, look, there's so many things going wrong in New York City right now, but the key thing for me is that we have put kids last throughout the pandemic, and we continue to do that today. It's a city that really treats kids like an afterthought, and I have to get my kids out of that. We can't stay.
You're already seeing this. You have 3 kids in school, and you're seeing them in masks every day. You've thought this thing was going to end. It doesn't. They don't seem to care. European cities, countries, they don't really have this issue. They know kids in masks is stupid. Yep. So now you're seeing a delay in your kids' development.
Yeah. So my 6-year-old has been in masks, his entire schooling career so far. He's in 1st grade. He's not reading yet. I wrote about him this week for the Post. My other 2 kids were reading quite early. They're very voracious readers. And I see a change. And I think it's because, I really do see that it's because of the masking. He's a shy kid. He doesn't repeat himself. He doesn't, enunciate very well. He doesn't understand what his teacher is saying. It's a giant issue. And the fact that we ignore that this is going to be a problem is the problem to me. It's like the pretense that in a year we're not going to accept that these masks caused actual problems for these kids is ridiculous. That's where we're going to be in a year. It's going to be these articles about now it can be told these masks are bad for kids.
Yeah, and we know too, there's a reason why you exhale. It's to expel, and now it's going back in your face. 33,000 New Yorkers have moved to Florida over the last 10 months. You're now one of them. Was it hard finding housing? What was it like when you went down? I mean, I hear real estate's through the roof now.
Yeah, I mean, real estate is on fire there.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna switch. Come back. It is on fire. That's a good thing. The thing is, as we, I talk about it all the time. New York, Illinois, Michigan, Nevada, all of these states with Democrat governors, they have these masks in place. It's insane. And what's more insane is that people actually buy into it. California, I got people bragging about how they got the third shot, the booster. Okay. All right. Hey, man, all I can say is, look, let's keep up the good work. Let's keep out there. Let's keep on these people. Let's stay in front of them. Let's make these things happen. You got to keep confronting people like J.B. Pritzker, the Illinois governor. You have to keep confronting people like Newsom, Governor Newsom. You have to keep confronting them. Governor, what's her name? Winhelm or something like that. The lady over in Michigan. Just total tyrants. What science is science? They keep talking about science and my science is science. Well, show me some science, baby. Something. But they can't. And every time they do, we have some real serious issues. So all I can say is, people, we got about 25 more minutes here. I'm out on Red State. Out on what is the other one? Oh, Blacks and Whites US. I'm trying to set up a couple of things here. And tomorrow I'll be out on YouTube. I'm on YouTube now, broadcasting. When we talk about the Biden-Putin meeting, you're talking about a young, vibrant, badass, looking at a TV monitor, this old guy who's sitting there, can barely get a sentence out. I tell you, they say that Biden delivered a warning to Putin over Ukraine. Now, do you think Putin's going to pay any attention? He didn't amass those troops on the border just to look good. Okay. Some people say there are 5 takeaways from the Biden-Putin call. I don't think there are that many at all. Biden warns Putin of economic consequences. Well, how could he do that when he opened the oil pipeline and said, how is Russia supposed to get any revenue if they don't have oil? I mean, he's bought, paid for, sold out, and totally dumb. Remember what Robert Gates said about this guy. He said, Joe Biden has never been right about a foreign policy issue in 40 years. 40 years. Here you have a former Secretary of Defense saying this about a sitting president. And even before he was sitting president, Gates said that. Joe Biden's a dummy, and people who voted for him are dummies. I don't any more believe that Joe Biden won that election than a man in the moon. But Putin warns. And, Putin sat there and he listened politely. But at the end of the day, Putin's going to do what he's going to do because he's a real gangster. He's a badass. And what did Joe Biden say? He's a murderer. Wouldn't say that to his face though. He probably punch him out. Could you see Putin and Biden getting into a fight? Be like a Rottweiler and a ragdoll, okay? I don't have to tell you who the ragdoll is, okay? Wow. So Russia portrays this meeting between Putin and Biden as being as Putin rebuffing Biden and his bluffs, and I believe that. They say the White House relies on a secret system for calls with world leaders. Biden Putin meeting skirmishes as skirmishes break out between the Ukraine soldiers and who? Skirmishes break out between the Ukraine soldiers. And then my thing skips. What the hell? Between the Ukraine soldiers and who? Let me make this a little bigger. Maybe I can see. Okay. Oh, and Russian-backed separatists. Oh, okay. There are no separatists in the Ukraine. There's people put there by Putin. It's amazing. So five takeaways that we're going to look at with Biden and Putin. Even though Biden opened up the oil pipelines and the deal between the Soviet Union and Germany instead of Germany buying oil from us. I mean, how could somebody go out and vote for a moron like this? How could anybody vote for him? And you people deserve exactly what you get. It's messing up and has messed up our country. And people go, oh, I just didn't know. It's not good enough. It's infuriating, actually. But Putin and Biden spoke for about 2 hours in a video conference. And they say the meeting was one of the biggest foreign policy tests for Biden's predecessor. Of course it is. And the credibility of American threats. We don't have any credibility. We don't have any credibility. We're not going over there. The boys aren't going over there. President can order them over there. The boys ain't going over to fight half, they're going to fight half-heartedly. Yep. 5 takeaways from yesterday's meeting. What are they? Well, you ever heard of Jake Sullivan? He's the White House National Security Advisor. That's the Condoleezza Rice to George Bush, okay? George Walker Bush. He said after the meeting that Mr. Biden had offered Putin the choice between diplomatic solution and severe economic and political consequences that would allow a Russian invasion of the Ukraine. But he did not say whether Mr. Putin had made any commitments. Wow. So he opened the door to invade. He said, go ahead, invade, and we'll sanction you. And we'll kick out a few diplomats. Who cares? Meanwhile, the Ukrainian president is screaming for tanks and protection from NATO. Is it coming? We don't know. They said Putin's standing firm. That's what all the pundits say. That's what all the professionals, all the experts say. Putin's standing firm. Why shouldn't he? He's dealing with a weak president. He's dealing with a weak man. Mr. Putin was not conciliatory. A Kremlin readout of the meeting said that Mr. Putin blamed the tensions on the West, which he said was building up its military capability in and around the Ukraine. Mr. Putin demanded legal guarantees that NATO would not expand eastward towards Russia's borders or deploy offensive weapon systems in the Ukraine. No, they're not. All the weapon systems have always been defensive. That's the excuse to go in and invade the Ukraine. They're putting offensive weapon systems within reach of our borders. That's what we said when Khrushchev put missiles in Cuba. Offensive weapons in the Western Hemisphere, not going to happen. Mm-mm. And I think Russia has the same request. That's why they don't want the Ukraine to go NATO, but everybody's trying to go NATO. And these fools over here trying to go socialist. These dumb, ignorant, and when I hear a black person talk about socialism, I really laugh because that is a stupid person. I always say the more education black people have, the more they parrot liberal, ignorant ideas and platitudes. They're very good at that. But again, that's how many of them get paid, make their living. A major energy pipeline from Russia to Germany faces a new risk. Well, it shouldn't have been open in the first place. Well, I'm just going to undo everything that Donald Trump did. Well, he undid that. So stay in place in Mexico. Now the pipeline, opening up foreign federal lands to drill. What else is Joe Biden going to do that he should have left alone in the first damn place? They said that the Biden administration and the Congress have been at odds over the new pipeline between Russia and Germany. And the critics say it's unacceptable and a political boon for Moscow, which it is. But now it's in danger because Joe is tired of being punked. And I do mean punked. Little sissy. Said Putin demanded legal guarantees that NATO would not expand. So what? They break their guarantees and they break their rules all the time. That's what they do. Anyway, we got about 12 minutes here, and I'm going to break from international stuff because it's all lies, all smoke and mirrors. Joe Biden's not even thinking about closing down that pipeline between Germany and Russia. If he did, he wouldn't open it in the first place. There was no reason for him to. He hadn't received any guarantees from Russia. What he said was, how is Russia supposed to have any revenue? Stupid. And you people voted for him. That's the most amazing thing. So you're stupid too. Oops, that's going to get me put in jail again. Oops. That's too funny. Too funny. Okay. I can't hear this young man. Let's see. Jenny told me he's there. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Don't see him. Not with me. He's not here. Okay, let's do it. Ta-da. I'm just saying. You never know. Just never know what's going on with folks. You never can tell. But we tried to here. We tried to here at the Yep. It'll be fun. I'll be commenting on Jesse Smollett. Yeah, that's for sure. Anyway, but we were talking about Biden and his craziness. He's such a loser. Such a loser. Hey, let's talk about Chicago. Follow up on what's going on. What's going on with the shootings and killings in Chicago, man? They said that they're talking about Smollett. Someone said this case is crazy. Closing argument shifts to defense of Smollett's trial for reviewing allegedly staged hate crimes on himself. Okay, fine. But the guy was like, was it stupid to lie about mega hats in the home of the Democrat machine? Yeah, think so. Hmm. Hmm. So, Omicron is here. It's in Chicago. And it says here cases are surging again. Will Chicago adapt? Proof of vaccine entry rules. I doubt it. But I don't doubt it because they jump on everything else as if it's gospel. And it's not. You know, they don't know anything about what they're doing. Wow. McDonald's is facing a lawsuit by 777 Black former franchise owners, launching a $250 million initiative to attract more minority franchises in the fast food chain. Yeah, well, the first McDonald's to fail was on the south side of Chicago. True story. I remember we took a tour to see it. It was interesting. I'm going to bring Christian in. Christian Watson. Hey, Christian, how you doing? Christian?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you, Mr. Butler? Very good to talk to you. See you.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, my friend. Hey, look, you're a little late, so we got about 7 minutes here. So sorry that you
yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the other room. I didn't, and the link that Jenny gave me.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
My apologies.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll do it again. Hey,
my
so
apologies.
look, that's okay. And mine for the confusion, but we'll do it again. We can do it this week. But tell us a little bit about you, man. I'm proud of you. I know that. Jenny speaks very highly of you, and because she does, I know that you're the real deal.
Oh, well, I appreciate it very much. So I'm Christian. I am right now. I tend not to give myself titles because I don't want to seem self-important, but I know what my desires are in life. So I suppose I'll let any title I give reflect that. I am a budding political commentator. I am an aspiring public intellectual. I'm someone who believes in the principles of this country, of the United States. I'm someone who believes in the virtue of those principles and the universality of those principles and the necessity of those principles to all Americans, and not only living a good life, but being able to live a good life in the first place, because those principles keep a check on government and on other people in society who would seek to infringe upon their lives. And I think right now, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, so what do you think about this no cash bail is letting these criminals back into our community?
Right. So what I think that there are a lot of things that we can talk about with the criminal justice system. There are a lot of things that are happening. For example, like civil asset forfeiture is a very big deal. A lot of the government basically has the ability to come in and seize a citizen's property without due process. And I think that anyone, especially of the conservative or libertarian tradition, which I am of, should be abhorred about that. But there's a difference between addressing legitimate grievances and idolizing and lionizing people who broke the law. And I think that we need to strike a balance. I don't think that I understand the arguments against cash bail. Having said that, I also understand there are violent offenders that have no business being out in the street,
right?
Just because they may have a low socioeconomic status.
Exactly.
We've kind of linked low socioeconomic status to being a matter of injustice. And this is a product. It's not, absolutely not. And this is a product of the social justice mindset. This is a product of the sort of, sorry.
For years, sociologists, white sociologists, I might add, and some black sociologists who wanted to eat, have said that and linked poverty to criminality. And I've often said, if that were the case, blacks would always have been criminals, because my dad and many of my dad's friends came from the South with nothing, total poverty. Most blacks and whites too. I mean, let's put it out there. These white people weren't born with a gold silver spoon in their mouth either. They came to places like Detroit and Chicago and Philadelphia and New York and DC, where there were good paying jobs, worked their butts off. And from 1940 to 1960, Black Americans, 50% of Black Americans left poverty and moved into the middle class. Right. That was before civil rights laws. That was before affirmative action. And I think since those things, we've fallen behind. But I can tell you that there has been a systematic attempt to hold and keep Black men out of the workplace. And I think that by the numbers, so they had, we got a twofer. We got a Black woman, we got a Black and a woman. And so the Black man suffered as a consequence. Now the white woman I said this from the get-go. My political godfather was a man named Arthur Fletcher. Arthur Fletcher was the father of affirmative action. Dick Nixon supported affirmative action to a point. But all of this happened on Dick Nixon's watch in terms of programs that were developed to bring Black people into the middle class, because banks historically discriminated against Blacks in terms of home loans, in terms of business loans, and they still do today. And these programs that were structured for Black entrepreneurs, Black business people, Black citizens, have been used by everyone but Blacks. They've been used by the Arabs. They've been used by Hispanics. They've been used, or Latinos. They've been used by the Southeast Asians. You have a Southeast Asian who can come to this country, been here 60 days, get an SBA loan to open a hotel, when a Black who's been here and has an excellent business plan, excellent business acumen, can't get a loan. That's the reality of what's going on in this country. And you got Al Sharpton and these numbskulls and these other people running around talking about social justice. I'm not concerned about social justice as much as I am about economic justice, economic parity. That's where Dick Nixon was coming from. That's when I first realized that I was conservative. But because people like James Brown, the entertainer, Jim Brown, the football player, Bill Russell, all supported Dick Nixon. Sammy Davis Jr. These were all real Black men who supported Dick Nixon. They didn't support the Democrats. And people today still don't get it. It's like Adam Clayton Powell supported Dwight David Eisenhower, who was a Republican. Yeah. They go, well, no, that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, it did happen, dummy. Yeah, it did happen, because Eisenhower was one of the greatest civil rights presidents we had. Go ahead.
Adam Clayton Powell or Adam Clayton Powell Jr.?
Doesn't make any difference. There's Adam Clayton Powell Jr. is the guy. The others are, Adam Clayton Powell Sr. was a pastor who cleaned up Harlem because there was so much degradation. There was all this homosexuality, and everybody talks about the Harlem Renaissance, but there was a great deal of homosexuality and degradation and going on in the Harlem Renaissance. That's why you get a guy like Richard Wright. Richard Wright, he was a great guy. He's a great author. Oh yeah, but he was homosexual. Then you get, all these other guys, Langston Hughes. And I always knew that they were kind of homosexual, but I didn't really get it until I read Adam Clayton Powell Sr.'s book. And his book is one of these books that when you go to read it, you have to wear gloves, and it's in a reference library, in a reference area, because there are not many of them around. But anyway, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., when I say Adam Clayton Powell, is always Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Because the third and the fourth, they haven't done anything. They have great names, and they're great guys. I've met them. I've talked to them. But they're no Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was the man.
Okay, interesting. Well, he had a very radical attitude about Black existence in America. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. did. And I'm sure he was socially conservative. I mean, most African Americans, even those who were Democrats back then, were socially conservative. And a lot of African Americans, a lot of the Black church is one of the most socially conservative political units in social units in the country.
Hey guys, you guys out there in Red State, we're gonna sign off, and I'm gonna stay here with Mr. Christian Ward, and we'll be back tomorrow. Okay. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So I'm not surprised he was socially conservative, but a lot of his economic policies were certainly socialistic. And
Whose policies were socialistic?
Juniors, Adam Clayton Powers Jr.
Why you say
Adam Clayton
that?
Powers Juniors.
Why you say that?
From what I can remember, he supported social safety nets and things of that sort.
No,
From what I can remember.
no,
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 okay.
no, not at all. But what he is known for is being the most prolific legislator of his time,
Mhm.
because he signed to every appropriations bill that was passed. He signed a clause saying you have to hire Black people. You have to hire Black Americans. See, that's been the crux. See, the March on Washington, the March in Detroit was not about civil rights. Those marches were about jobs. White people don't want to deal with that. See, that's where I come in and I start talking about white folks and what really went down in the civil rights movement, and nobody really wants to deal. But I'm like the bridge. I know the people who were in the civil rights movement, and I know people who are after civil rights movement. I know Al Sharpton, I know Jesse Jackson, but I also know Andrew Young. I also knew all of these other I'm trying to think of the guy who ran CORE. He's still living. Ennis. I'm trying to come with his first name.
Roy Ennis.
Roy Ennis.
Not Roy. Yeah.
Roy Ennis.
Yeah.
Senior. So these are people that I have talked to over the years and gotten their take on the civil rights movement. Like when you talk about the Montgomery boycott, bus boycott, it was everybody thinks that they wanted to integrate the bus. No, they didn't want to integrate the bus. They wanted more rows than the one row they had in the back of the bus. They didn't want to integrate the whole bus. But you miss all of this in taking things from what really happened at that time and try to put them in 2021 and what happened today. So you have all of this misinformation that's out there, and I hope that my book straightens it out, because my book tells the truth. Like I tell the truth about Dr. King. I always say Dr. King was a womanizer. He drank a lot, had a lot of fun, and he was not a strategist. But that's another story. But you'll read about it in my book.
Don't you think putting a clause in an appropriation, putting a clause in an appropriations bill that specifies the identity, isn't that if it's not socialistic? And as someone who comes from libertarian tradition, I think that a lot of uses of government force to manipulate social desires or preferences, I think all of that's socialistic. And that may be my radical view, but let me
say something to you, so that you clearly understand, and you need to go do your homework about this. See, I came along at a time. I live in Tampa, Florida right now, but I came along at a time when we went to the beach in Pensacola. They had a black beach and a white beach. When we came down to Florida, when we crossed that Ohio River in Cincinnati and came south, you couldn't go to the bathroom at a gas station. That's in my lifetime. So when you talk all of this talk about making these laws for black people to do this, I remember being a naval officer in the South and not being served at a Krispy Kreme. Okay, so you're talking about this from what all these white folks talk about. I'm telling you right now that we were hung from trees. I was stationed in Meridian, Mississippi, where the 3 civil rights workers were killed. I knew people who knew those 3 civil rights workers. In fact, a girl I was dating, her father happened to be a Garveyite. Do you know who Marcus Garvey was?
Yes.
Okay,
he was
her father was a Garveyite. And what people don't understand is that Garvey's movement wasn't in the North. I mean, he was headquartered in New York, but that wasn't where all his people were. All of his people were in the South, and they sent money through wire transfers up to the North to support the group. That's another story that I'll get into in my book. But and Garvey was a straight guy. And so one of his daughters was going to go with those 3 civil rights workers over to Philadelphia that night to recruit people to register to vote. And that's when they got killed on the way back. And she almost went with him. And her dad used to talk to me about that all the time. He also showed me his uniform, his Garveyite uniform, which I hope the family still has, because there were a lot of people down in Mississippi who were Garveyites. Man, I happen to know about it because I studied it in college. Today, they don't study that kind of stuff. They don't create critical thinkers. They talk, these professors try to create clones of themselves, like Barack Obama. I'm not a clone. My professors were very clear. I want to know what you think. They created leaders. And so all I'm saying to you is Black folks weren't hired. When my dad got hired in the plant as a veteran, along with other Black veterans who fought World War II, they got hired into something called a Cubalo. The Cubalo was the foundry. So whether you were here in Gary, Indiana, working in the steel plants, or you were in the plants in Detroit, they put all the Black people in the Cubalo. Now, white boys, they come out and they say, you're going to be a millwright. You're going to be an electrician. You're going to be a plumber. And that's what they did. They trained them. And so when people say to me, like people like Obama and all these people talking about training and education, bullshit. You don't get any training in a class. You get training by doing things. I learned to fly a plane, not by reading in a damn book. I had to get in a damn airplane and fly it. So, but that's the disconnect with you young people and the real world, because see, my generation, it's like MJ and LeBron. What do all the players say about MJ today? They said if MJ was playing in the league today, he'd get 50. Why would he get 50 every night? Because he was just that tenacious. See, we live in a soft world as far as I'm concerned, where 2 and 2 is 5, and it's things like that. But getting back to your point, you have to really do your homework, and that's what Art Fletcher taught me. You need to read this book about Art Fletcher. It's pretty good. It was written by a guy named Goland, Golland. I have it. He wrote this book about Art Fletcher. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's the catchphrase for UNCF. My friend Art Fletcher coined that phrase. So when you talk about Black people not being able or being singled out, I can tell you right now, you can look at articles in Wall Street Journal where in the boom 90s, when money was flowing free and venture capitalists were funding everything, a Black guy would come in and they Wall Street Journal used this example. Several Black guys came in to different VCs that had never turned down a deal, and their deal got turned down. Then they sent a white boy in or an Asian guy in, and the deals got funded. So these are realities in them. And that's why Nixon created certain things in the federal government, because see, Dick Nixon had been dealing with racial issues since the 50s. And he knew that people needed to break into the economic mainstream. That's what he preached in 68. That's what he preached in 72, that Black people need to be included in the economic mainstream. Everybody wants to talk about civil rights. Well, it's about green rights. If you got money, you can do what the hell you want to do. I stay anywhere I want to stay if I got money. And then that wasn't true in the South. And that wasn't true in DC even. You couldn't stay in a hotel in DC before 1963. You couldn't stay in a Marriott or a Hilton before 1963. Even if you had money. But the Africans
and that's wrong. Like, I think segregation is absolutely wrong. And the reason I've been, just listening, because I do respect your experiences. And, I don't never want to make someone who actually had to face that feel as if I'm trying to tell them how it was. Obviously, I wasn't there. I wasn't born yet. So I understand. But I do think that it is improper for us to try to correct injustice with more injustice. And when the government tries to employ force to force a social situation, that, in my opinion, is unjust. And this is actually the opinion of Barry Goldwater. This is actually why Barry Goldwater opposed the Civil Rights Act, not because he didn't like Black folk, but because he didn't think that it was correct for the government to try to make a moral imposition on private business owners.
Well, can I say something about that? Can I say something about that? Sure. I like Barry Goldwater. I've studied Barry Goldwater intensively, and I'm glad you brought him up. Barry Goldwater was a good man. He was tainted by the media. Barry Goldwater was not a racist.
No, he was not, right.
And he supported black folks. In fact, he integrated the Arizona Air National Guard. But the media tainted Barry Goldwater, just like they tainted Nixon. He called Nixon a racist and all these other things, which he was not. And they called Trump a racist, which he certainly was not. This is what you have to look at, my friend. When you go back and look at your history lessons, you study history. After Reconstruction, blacks were abandoned by the federal government. Under the Constitution of the United States, it clearly states that we have inalienable rights if we're born in this country. Those inalienable rights were stepped on by Southerners, and our federal government allowed it to happen even after we fought a civil war where we lost 650,000 lives. So people were denied their constitutional rights because of the color of their skin. And race is an issue, and it will always be an issue in this country. If you go back and look at the original draft by Thomas Jefferson of the Declaration of Independence, it clearly deals with slavery and skin color.
Right.
The original draft, but the white Southern Democrats had it taken out in order for us to create this thing we call America and the 13 colonies. You know, so there are a whole bunch of things that come into play here. There should never have had to have been a civil rights movement. Why did we have to go out and fight these white people to sit in a car? My father and other black vets, when they returned from World War II and fighting for white folks and democracy, supposedly, in segregated units, they had to sit in. My dad was. The ship went into the Philadelphia yards. That was a big Navy yard on the East Coast. Gets on the train. He gets discharged. Gets on the train. Heads to Washington D.C. Gets to Union Station. Gets on the station to come south to Florida. Guess where he had to sit? In the Negro cars. The Negro cars were the last cars on the train where all the soot went from the train. All the soot went back to those cars, and the Germans and the German POWs set air-conditioned cars in front of them with the white folks. They sat in cars that weren't air-conditioned, had broken toilets and all that. That's America, and that's what you got to deal with, because that happened. So when you talk about things being fair, if things had been fair, we wouldn't have to deal with this. If things had been fair.
I never said things were fair.
What you're saying is, so how do you, as I'm saying to you again, go read the book that Golan read, because how can you correct something if you never confront it? You know, those white people in the South in my lifetime would not let me. I'm telling you, in my uniform, I was denied service at several places in my damn uniform. And I'm a naval officer. Okay. And I'm going overseas. It's not whether it was terrible or not. It happened. And so when people like yourself talk about, well, we can, oh yeah, we can. But I'm from that Malcolm school. I don't believe in Martin Luther King. I think we had a constitution, and we should have been very, very strong about using, as Malcolm said, using the Constitution instead of people being out in these streets marching, getting beat, getting blown up. Look at Medgar Evers. Man, you should just go online and Google pictures of Medgar Evers bombing.
Oh, no, it's gruesome. What happened to him is gruesome.
So
he was lynched.
So this is what's happening out here. And there's no way. See, you have to look at what white liberals have done to the black culture. Our culture is not ghetto. 70% of rap music is bought by white people. People don't know that. I know black people.
Suburbs.
They
white
hate
kids in suburbs. Love it.
Yeah, but black people, as you well know, I mean, they hate rap music, and this whole culture. The white people have built up these rappers. They're spokesmen. Spokesmen for who? I mean, where did they come from? You would be a great spokesman for young folks, and I like you. I mean, just the little time we spent together. But I want you to do your homework, because it's very important. that you do your homework so that when people come at you about what you're saying, you can back it up intellectually. Okay.
Yeah, I just think we come to different conclusions. And that's, by the way, that's fine. There are a lot of different variations in the sort of Black conservative tradition. Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams were on the same page a lot, but sometimes they weren't.
I know Walter Williams and I know Thomas
Yeah.
Sowell. I got emails from both of them, and I talked to both.
God rest Walter Sowell. I mean, he was a great economist. God rest his soul. So I just think people we can have different opinions, and I know my position on the restaurant discrimination thing is more, and this is a generally held libertarian position. Rand Paul holds this position, Barry Goldwater held it. It's more of a moral one. I'm not someone who wants to defend the fact that white business owners wanted to deny service to Black folk, which happened. And I understand the civil rights movement, sit-ins and things of that sort, ways to counter that. And all that's fine. By the way,
I don't believe in that. See, I don't believe in that, because if you if you don't want me at your counter, I don't want to be there.
So why would we want to force people who are racist to serve us?
Because you had people who were self-aggrandizing and wanted to be self-important. Like Selma, and we can talk about this later because I got to go. But we can talk about this later. But Selma had been working on voting for 20 years before Martin Luther King and John Lewis got there. But you would think that all of a sudden, John Lewis and Martin Luther King showed up and Selma's on the map. It's not true. I mean, I know people who worked on voting rights in Selma long before there was a civil rights movement. So, when you look at when I talk about these things, and like I said, you can talk about not being served at a restaurant or a gas station, but when you see your aunt or your mother or your sister using the bathroom on the side of the road because there's no Black gas station, because the white folks won't give Black folks or let Black folks have gas stations, then you have a different tune. So see, I'm all about separate and equal. But this was the point that people made to me. They never thought that the white people would put the money in a Black school. So that's why they wanted to go to white schools. But and I talked about this yesterday. And in going to white schools, we lost Black coaches, Black teachers, Black administrators. Schools just closed. I remember when I was down south, all the schools that my cousins went to one summer were closed the next summer because of busing and integration. And all the white kids went to church schools. So, it's been a kind of a crazy ride, but things in this country have changed a lot, and it's moving toward the better. Is it perfect? No. But I refuse. I'm a Black person who refuses to let white folks off the hook for being white folks. And that's why I know Fox no more. That's why, I'm not doing other things, because I just tell the truth. I don't try to let people get off with an apology. It's not, no, do what's right. I don't care about the apology. If you weren't doing what's wrong in the first place, you wouldn't have to apologize. How can America dare? See, the whole 60s and the whole Kennedy thing was about the Russians embarrassing the U.S. because they practiced discrimination against Blacks, but they talked about democracy around the world. And they were being outed, and America was being outed for the lie and the hypocrisy that this country practiced. So I've been part of it. I've grown up. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood, dude. I went to an all-white school. So, I don't, have that whole ghetto Black. I don't have none of that going on. But I am a Michigan grad, so I know what I'm talking about. And I am a very experienced person. I worked in the Reagan administration. So, and I worked for the Department of Commerce, which is about business. And see, and so Booker T. Washington, when he talked about business, man. Talked about business. These people
right around being self-starters,
having our own businesses now. That boy King, I have very little use for Martin Luther King for a number of reasons. But the bottom line here is, in my opinion, We need to fire up and these young people. You guys got it. You want to be entrepreneurs. You're out there, doing what you're doing and doing what you love. And I really appreciate and support you guys for doing that. But I'm glad you have the vehicles to make it happen. Like you say you want to be a political pundit. I think you're going to be a great political pundit. I think you need to pick up that mantle and run with it. And I'm going to be glad to turn it over to you. So whatever I can do, Christian, in the future to help you, I'm there. And matter of fact, I'm going to get Jenny to get you on next week so we can spend more time together and you can talk more because I want to hear what you got to say. Okay?
Yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Hey, look, guys.
Look forward to it.
Okay, good. Hey, guys, we're going to cut it today. I got to go. But, hey, Christian, I'm going to invite you back. We're going to get this done. But I wish you'd been here a little sooner, but, you hear when you hear.
Yes,
and we'll get it done. Okay, bro?
All right. Good seeing you. Thank you.
I look forward to talking to you. Tell Jenny to send me your number.